Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink, it is time for some PathOfExile discussion. Welcome to day 4 of teaser season for patch 3.24 and the upcoming Necropolis expansion. This has been one of those days where Grinding Gear Games decided to hide a little bit of a doozy inside a video that was very easily missed. So we'll get to that in a sec, but let's start firstly about what that video actually talked about, and that is Necropolis quality of life proximity-based opening of breach hands. All you need to do is get close to a breach hand in order to open it now. How close, you might be asking? Well, on this frame, the character is not close enough. On this frame, the very next one, they are close enough. So you can see that it is a quite small radius around the breach hand, but this is still going to be an improvement over trying to click the breach hand without accidentally instead clicking one of the monsters that's standing guard on top of it. The other thing this is going to mean is that phasing is even better in Breach than it's been in the past. Phasing has always been good in Breach, but it's going to be even stronger in patch 3.24 because it becomes more important to walk on top of these hands. They are actually a pretty big source of the loot, especially the grasping hands. Those ones are the most important, and you'll be able to get a lot of those if you spec into Breach on your passive tree. I do, however, want to say one quick thing about this if you play in Trade League. And that is that every time Grinding Gear Games make it more appealing to run a particular type of content, that does result in an increase in the number of people running it. What this means is that your Breach Sextants, your Breach Scarabs, these are going to go up in price. Additionally, your Breach Stones are going to go down in price because you'll be competing with more other people who are looking to sell them. So do keep this in mind. While this is a buff to Breach mechanically, this can actually end up being somewhat of a nerf in Trade League, and whether Breach ends up being one of the best or one of the worst farming strategies is still an open question in patch 3.24. Okay, so that's the Overt teaser that's hidden in that video. But let's talk about the Covert one. Let's have a look at some of those skills that are listed in the bottom right corner of the screen. In fact, let's have a look at this screenshot, which is a bit of a close-up and therefore is a bit blurry. But you'll notice that in the Q and the R keybinds, there is a new skill. In fact, these two skills are the same as each other. It's two copies of the same one. Welcome to Grinding Gear Games' hidden teaser for Vaal Split Arrow. Vaal Split Arrow actually exists in the game files at the moment. You can't get this gem, but it does exist in the game files. Whether it goes live in the exact form that has been data mined from patch 3.23, where it fires off an arrow that ignores normal pierce and fork mechanics, instead it always pierces, but unlike most situations where an arrow that is piercing has no capacity to fork, it will automatically fork at predetermined distances, creating essentially a Christmas tree effect. This is what is in the game at the moment, but is not actually accessible to players. So this is what I'm speculating Grinding Gear Games are teasing is going to exist, but of course they could have completely reworked Vaal Split Arrow from this version that's never been released to the public, but has been in the game files for a little while. We'll find that one out. One thing to note, if it does go live as it is in the game files now, quality on this is going to be extremely important. This is going to be one of the most powerful quality effects in the entire game. You might also decide that you want to pair this gem with Ashes of the Stars as well in order to get even more quality onto it. The other piece of news that came out today was that the Affliction mechanics are not going to be going core, which is something that Grinding Gear Games had already let slip in one of the interviews that had come up over the last few weeks. But on top of that, they also revealed all of the process that's going to take place when the Affliction League dumps into Standard at the end of this league, and also a few days later when 3.24 comes out. So let's quickly go through those, but if you are still enjoying the Affliction League, you've got about 12 or 13 days left to play it. Complete any challenges that you want to do there, or alternately farm up loot that you can take back with you into Standard. So your characters from the Affliction League will remain forever playable in the Parent League. If you're playing in Affliction trade-enabled softcore without the Ruthless rule set, then this means that the Parent League is Standard, your characters will go into Standard and they'll live there. In short, the characters will be dumped into the permanent league that has the closest rule set to the one you're playing with. Tinctures and charms are going to be entirely deleted upon the merge. Itemized Corpses, however, are being treated differently. These are going legacy. What this means is that they'll be added into that pool of consumables, like Eternal Orbs, like Jewelry Recombinators, like various tattoos, that can't be replaced. You can't get new ones in Standard, but the people that have already got them will be able to either trade them, or they'll be able to use them themselves. Wildwood Ascendancies are going away entirely. One thing I was hoping they were doing, and I don't think this was particularly balanced, but it was something that I think could have been interesting, I was hoping they were testing these as alternate Ascendancies for the Scion. It looks like that's not the case, and they've decided to just completely get rid of them, but I'm assuming that there'll be some of the mechanics that are in those Ascendancies will come back in some other form at some point in the future. Items that are currently inside a Wildwood Rucksack will not be deleted, but they'll basically go into a new remove only stash tab. It may not be called a remove only stash tab, but functionally that's what it's going to be. And then we come to the last line, which is a little bit ambiguous. All Affliction exclusive uniques will be added to the core drop pool, except for that which was taken, and this change will take place in patch 3.24. So, let's start with the thing here that is unambiguous. The Affliction exclusive uniques, and this includes things like that Pragmatism chest that drops from the King in the Mists, these are going to be added to the core drop pool. That means that they're just going to be a normal unique item that you can get from any monster in the game, at least if the item level is high enough. Also, this is not going to include some of the unique items that were added in patch 3.24, like Replica Covenant or the Trailmaster Ring, that are actually tied to other content, not Affliction. However, many people are interpreting this to mean that that which was taken is going to be completely unavailable in patch 3.24, and the Trade League economy has definitely already reacted to that news. I don't think you can be certain about this from the way that this is worded. What they're saying here is that that which is taken is not going to be available as a drop anywhere unique item, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be available. It could very well mean it's not going to be available in 3.24. It's quite likely not going to be available, but I don't think that's an absolutely guaranteed thing. It might be that there's some other mechanic that's going to provide that. It is definitely the case though that if in 3.24 that which is taken is not available at all, then the existing ones are going to get very, 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 very expensive in permanent standard. And a lot of people who care about standard are going to make a lot of currency buying and selling them, or alternately, they're going to lose a lot of currency if it turns out that it is going to be added somewhere else. Anyways, that's the news for today. May your Vaal orbs cause your arrows to split in interesting ways.